There we go. Hello, everyone. Looks like I think everything's going well today on the tech front. I haven't had neighbors commenting that internet went out at all yet today. It was a yesterday, so hopefully we won't have a repeat of Wednesday night where we had to restart the stream. If that happens, though, check either MeWe, I'm bad about updating Facebook, but check MeWe. I will let you know, or somebody will hopefully let you know if we had to move the stream like that happened on Wednesday. Luckily, it was weird. My internet didn't go completely out, but for some reason the stream just stopped. Don't know what happened there, and then we had the rest of the, I don't know. Anyway, here we are. So we are working back on the octopus today. We got the base layer down yesterday. Now, just before we get started, make sure everyone is aware. If you're looking for just straight art tutorial, you're not here, or you don't want to listen to somebody ramble, that is going to be Patreon. For as little as $4 a month, you get access to all of my longer tutorials. There are, gosh, I think over 300 there now, and then a new one every single week, along with some other rewards, reference photos and such. So if you just want straight art lesson, Patreon is what you're looking for. For these live streams, I get to hang out and chat with you guys. If you've ever emailed me, you know I never respond. Like, it's just, there's a time issue. So this is where I get to hang out with everyone and chat and talk about all the things I don't respond to in emails. So, okay, I think we're good here. Starving Artist Collective's at 4 a.m. here, cat's fed, blanket in hand, coffee at the ready, go. Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh, that's too early. I don't know how you get up that early. My mom's like that. She'll get up at 3 in the morning. She's done that for years, her and my dad both. I don't get it. I am not a morning person. Like, I did not get that from my mom, that's for sure. Okay. So, I'm still going to do a little bit more work on the base. Actually, do I want to do it this way? Do I want to do the lines? I'm trying to think, do I want to do pot, like, I think I'm going to go ahead and add in the light areas right now. This way, or some of them. Blend that out, and then come back through with the detail work with darker lines. So I had two ways I could go. I could just sit there and fill in all the little texture marks of the octopus and let the background be the dark lines, or I can go through and do the highlights, get everything where I want it to be, and then come back and add little individual lines and shading, and that makes no sense. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I'm using, again, this is the Faber-Castell Polychromos because this is something that I'm going to want to blend out. But when I get into doing some of the final details, the tiny details, I will switch to either my Derwent Lightfast or my Caran d'Ache Luminance, because those are areas I would not want to smudge out. When you're working on sanded paper, and especially with Powder Blender, the Faber-Castell Polychromos is going to blend the best. And then if there's an area where I want it to stick and not smudge out, I want to switch to something with a higher wax content. Okay, let's see. Where else do we need these light areas? A little bit in here. Start giving him a little bit of dimension. He's really flat right now, and that pencil really needs to be sharpened. I have a little cup. It's a little, those ones you get at like Target to hold actually I think this is Target's, to hold your toothbrush. It's great. It holds all of my pencil shading. So I used to use a lighter weight, just like light plastic cup. I knocked it down all the time. This, it's glass, so I technically could break it, but it's never been a problem. And it, like, it's worked better. Something a bit heavier weight has been much better to hold my pencil shadings. I mean, of course, you could just have a trash can near your easel. I'm not fancy enough for that. Okay. Let's see, we've got it. Comes back down with the light here. Now the lighting on this, I'm pretty much just using the reference photo because I don't have anything in this that would be causing a major shadow on him. Now I may come through and do a little bit of shading on part of the turtle's leg later once everything's in, but as far as the octopus goes, I can pretty much the lighting on the reference photo I'm using, which came from Pixabay. That one honestly works for this. Now I did change my reference photo a lot to make it more oranges and purples. The actual octopus is more like tans and browns, but which it doesn't work for this. So that is where that came from. The Orchid Saga said, "How are your orchids doing?" They are good. I haven't been taking great care of them, and it is amazing how much better orchids do when you ignore them. So most people kill them by overwatering them. I'm like, you're lucky if you get it every week and a half, 2 weeks at this point. I have 2 in bloom right now. I don't know, one of them made the smallest little, like barely a spike, and 1 flower. Like, I mean, and in the middle of summer. Never that specific plant. Some of them are prone to blooming in the summer. That's not one of them. So that was kind of like, okay. I guess sometimes an orchid, a lot of people will think they bloom because they're happy and healthy. Sometimes they bloom because they're very not happy and they're like, last ditch effort to pass on my lineage. So that's maybe what's going on there. I need to water on more. I mean, he's not dying, but I do need to water and fertilize everybody a bit more. But no, they're actually doing good considering. Since I got the reef tank in, when did that one come in? April. And then once I moved my fish over, once I started moving coral over, it's like, I swear, my poor plants have been neglected. Everyone's lived. One plant didn't live. But that's because I didn't realize it was pushed behind something else and he just wasn't getting water because I didn't know he was back there. Stupid mistake on my part. It wasn't anything that I wasn't too worried about one way or another. But other than that, no, the orchids are all doing good. I have one, I got it at a grocery store. It's a Noid or a no ID, and it blooms like most of the year. It's weird. I don't know why. I've had him for maybe 6 years now, and he's almost always he goes out of bloom maybe October, November, and then he's right back in a few months later, and he's the rest of the year. It's like that plant is weirdly happy. Let's see. Natalie said, did we have a bed change on the Hangout can? We did. So I had to rearrange everything revolves around my reef tank right now. I had to move some stuff around in the laundry room. I've had that bed, the brown one that Gibson's laying on, that used to be where the reef tank is. And then I moved all of the beds. The dog beds had to come out to make room for the tank and the chairs that I put in there. So and I still feel slightly guilty about doing it, which is ridiculous because there are beds all over my house, like a ridiculous amount of beds all over, but you move one and I feel bad because the dog's like, but we were laying there. So anyway, I moved that and it's been in the laundry room. Well, now I set up my RODI, so it's a water filtration system and it takes these big trash cans. Anyway, I needed more space in the laundry room, and those beds were in there. I have two of those. One Wade chewed up, so they fit perfectly in Wade's crate. And the original goal was he'd have a bed in his crate. Well, he chews it up. And so I kept it in the laundry room, and I kept the chewed up one. It was just the corner. I'm like, we'll see if he hits a stage where he stops chewing up his bed when he's in his crate. And then it clicked this week. I'm like, I need to just throw that out because the one that's good, I'll throw in here. They can just use it in the floor here. This is the most boring, stupid story ever. But then I was like, Wade pees in his crate. I can't put one of those beds in his crate anyway because I can't wash it. So it's not one of the waterproof ones. So yeah, anyway, I decided that one can just go in here and the other one has to get tossed that he chewed up. So, wow, my life is exciting. Let's see. Yeah, make sure if you have a comment or a question for me, make sure to do the @Lachri Fine Art. It'll highlight my name in orange so I see it. Otherwise, sometimes I just miss the comment. So it's not me intending to ignore you, but that's pretty much what happens if I miss it. So what I'm doing here is just blocking in where those highlights go. Nothing, you can see it's not precise. You can tell just by how I'm holding that pencil. Now, if I were working on a normal hot press watercolor paper, I am not holding the pencil that way. We're going to be doing the little ovals, little circles, keeping everything smooth, the super sharp pencil. Sanded paper, it's more like painting, which is awesome for me. Gypsy Heart said, I can't stop thinking and giggling about the Drama Queen Hognose video. You should paint one in a collage soon. Yeah, my husband would like me to paint them. So Gypsy Heart sent me a message over on MeWe this week. She wasn't aware, and this is hilarious. So if you're not aware, you need to go look these up. Usually it's the Eastern hognose that are the most dramatic, but Western hognose, which is what I have, they'll do it too. Ours never has, because it's something they do when they're stressed. It's a type of snake, if you really don't know what we're talking about. It's a type of snake, and they will flip themselves onto their back. They'll do like the death wiggle, like they act like they're dying, and they'll hang their tongue. They open their mouth and hang the tongue limply out of their mouth and act dead. So, and it's funny because breeders will post videos of these little babies fresh out of the egg that had a drama fit that look like they're dead, and they're like, oh, lost another one, rest in peace, which they didn't. It's just the snake being dramatic because it's not used to be being handled, just came out of the, it's hilarious. So some of the videos on the hognoses having their little drama fits, it's really funny. I mean, obviously you would, like, I don't want ours to ever do it because I don't ever want her that stressed, but it's still funny when you watch it. It's usually the wild ones you see having their little tantrums. But the thing that cracks me up on that is that they're so skilled at playing dead that they even let their tongue hang limply. Hang limply. Sorry, I've got bad allergies today. They let their tongue hang limply out of their mouth in their attempt to make you think it's dead. There is one though, someone did a voiceover and like, God, what was it? It was like, do not touch dead snake. Didn't your parents tell you not to touch anything dead? But and through the whole thing is he's having the drama, the voiceover's going, I'm dying. And then the person keeps touching him and the snake flips around, or they flip it over, the snake could flip himself back onto his back, but the voiceover is hilarious if you can find that one. Yvonne said my dog chewed hers up when it was in her crate. Then I figured out when she's in her crate, she can't find a cool spot, which she needed since there were more, they move around a lot when they're outside they're crated. That wasn't the case in mine. Wade, he doesn't want to be, he wants to come out and he's bored and he chews up the edge. Like if there's an edge or a seam. So we can put blankets in there. He loves his blankets. He doesn't chew them. He doesn't move them around. No problem. And so there are a ton of blankets. So I want him to have a lot of padding. So for him, it's just being destructive, and he's always been destructive anyway, but which is kind of, I don't want to say unusual for a greyhound, but also not super common. But yeah, he gets, if he's in there much, he gets bored, and yep, that's what he does. Rotten. That's what he's the bad cow. I mean, I guess it's his bed. He can do what he wants with it, but now it's not in your crate. So I'll blend this out once I get a little bit more in there and we'll start the detail. Cat's Heart Pig said, do you find yourself sharpening your pencil more when using sanded paper versus hot pressed paper? Yes and no, because you burn through it. I mean, it's sanded paper. It's the same as sandpaper essentially, except this is Archival. This is the Lux Archival. You will burn through that really fast, but you're also laying the pencil down. So it's almost like you're working in a time lapse, or like you're working in a sped up stage. And I need to do a test one of these days. The like pencil lead per square inch use, I think is about the same, or like for how much coverage you get, but you do it so much faster that you do end up sharpening it more. Now on the other side, I don't need to keep it sharp. So where I'm working on hot press watercolor paper, I'm gonna be sharpening constantly to keep a sharp tip. Here, I will burn that all the way down. I feel like I'm getting a little bit more use on some of it. So there's kind of the both. So yes and no. What do I do when I want to use solvent, but I get a headache from those? Don't use solvent. If you're having a bad reaction to anything, you want to find an alternative. So in your case, you might want to you've got, with colored pencils, two, I would say, main options. One would be to work in burnishing. I personally can't because I have arthritis in my hand, so burnishing doesn't work well for me long term. So that's where solvent comes into play. But for you, burnishing may be the answer, and that's where you're pushing hard and really you're not going to get as many layers, so you have to work a little bit different, but like you have to plan out exactly where everything goes. You're not just layering on top of layering like I do. But the other would be possibly sanded paper with powder blender might work for you. I'm really not sure if that's going to cause, I mean, it's non-toxic, but you never know what you react to. There are plenty of non-toxic things that people react to. But if you're reacting to solvent, I would not recommend using solvent. Like a headache is a good indication something's not going well with that chemical and you. So I just wouldn't use it. I would find a different method, to blend your pencils. And you have many different methods, but burnishing is probably going to be a really good fit for you. Like I said, another great hognose video is a baby hognose fighting scrambled eggs and doing the death roll. Well, I haven't seen that one. George Pencil Art said, octopus looks great. I'm doing some colored test strips to test erasing. I put too much gray I put in a spot in my art piece, unable to undo the gray by adding more color or white. Ah, yes. Hi, Lakshan. Yeah, I like that you're doing that in test strips first. Definitely test it before you figure out what, I just spit, that was classy. But for you, I don't know if you can even see that on screen, so I don't even know if I needed to point it out. But yeah, it's good to test on another piece of paper for sure. Gypsy Heart said, can you buy Lux Archival pre-mounted? Not yet. I've been bugging her about that because I want it pre-mounted, but not yet. I've been playing around with DaVinci Resist Grip panels and Powder Blender to test some new things and experiment. I saw that on your post over MeWe. I wonder if you had gessoed those first, if you would get better, like you gesso it yourself, if you would get better results. I'm curious on that. I'm not sure. Iced coffee day. Okay, Let's get some even brighter areas. Well, let's see. I think I need white. So just a bit. Don't want to push hard at this stage. And we need some way deeper shadows. Parts of these I'm starting to notice more as we get start building this up. Okay, let's see. So when you're shading things, I like to avoid jumping straight to black. A lot of people have a tendency to think shadow, black. Avoid that when you can. See if purples, magentas, those other colors might work better for you. That's what I'm doing now. If you jump straight to black, one, you can't really go, well, you can kind of make the black a little darker, but I mean, you're jumping all the way to your darkest. It's better if you build that up. But the other thing is that the black by itself, it tends to be very, very flat. If you can build that up with purples and such, you can get a lot more depth. There's enough on there, I can just blend it with my pinky and it blends out fine. I don't even need to add powder blender. It's fine just like that. Let's see, we're gonna have a lot of white in here. So I'm basically looking at what is farthest back and moving my way forward. So I'm looking under his little suction cup tentacle guys here. I don't know any of the technical terms and you guys keep telling me what they are and I continuously forget them because I'm a pro with no memory. But I'm doing what's under all of the detail that will go on top of this. Let's see, as we move down here, we've got a lot of bigger circles. I don't even know what I have drawn out on some of this. Wait, what arm? That is you, that is you. Most of that doesn't show. There we go. And this area has a lot of light. Okay, which I probably don't need to sharpen that just yet. Let's get a few more. Let's see, a little bit more highlighting in here. This one's a hot mess of, I don't know what I've done. So I'm gonna put the purple, but I need it to be light. So I'll put the purple and then white on top so they mix together. Oh, I see what I've done. This one comes down here. We've got a lot of really light areas back through that. There's his leg. This is seen through his leg. It'll make more sense later. I don't want to work too much on those tentacles just yet. Let's get this guy. Gypsy Heart said, I've got a few more of those panels, so experiments to come, and I'll share my results as I go. Yeah, I'd be interested if that works. Actually, seeing yours made me want to try that on my own, too, because I have some different panels here. I don't know if they'd work well, but it made me wonder, like, that would be nice to have something that was more firm. And then try Nick's varnishing technique on top of it. Which I still haven't tried. There are many things I need to get done that I have not done yet. Most of that will really be in shadow, but I'm missing some stuff here. So, oh, I'm missing his whole, I put a shell in there and it's really supposed to be his little curly, his curly hand. What was that? Hi, hobby artist. See, this is what's so great about powder blender, but sanded paper. I screwed that up. I missed half his arm. No big deal. You can go right on top of that. If I did that on hot press watercolor paper, would not have been so easy to correct. Okay, I think we're almost to where I can blend this out and then we can start focusing on details. I don't even think I need to spray this. Well, wouldn't be a terrible idea. Maybe I should, just in case I end up wanting to blend with OMS. Not even adding powder blender. There's enough on here that it's blending nice and smooth. So it's working. It blends almost like pastels, just way less messy. Okay. Oh, I don't have my spray. Hold on one second. Which means I didn't remember to shake it up either. So we'll sit here and do that for a minute. Let's see. Janine said, acrylics question. What do you use when you are mixing colors? When I use a paintbrush, the paintbrush gets up into the ferrule. I never can say that word right. I struggle to blend well with palette knife. Everyone, yeah, I don't recommend the palette knife. I mean, I know people use it. The problem with the palette knife is you're going to be mixing a whole lot of the wrong color. It's just harder for most to get the color they want. With a brush, I use a brush. I usually use a tackle and bristled brush, or a round. Tackle and bristled filbert. So like one of these, and the paint does inevitably get up there. But if you can use a slightly longer bristle, it's easier for mixing purposes. But don't use so much paint either. That's another thing. Like if I'm going to mix a large amount of paint, let's say I'm painting a full background and I need a specific color, I'm mixing a few colors together. Okay, palette knife makes more sense then. Because it gets super messy when you're dealing with that much paint. But if I'm doing a something smaller, I'm blending such small amounts that you don't dip your whole brush in the paint. You're just the tip of your brush, just a little bit at a time. More often than not, I see people when they mix color, they just mix way too much and just make a mess. They waste so much paint. So less is usually better. And when you're using less, you're not making such a mess with your brush. Anne said, hi Lisa, I just finished my first Surreal drawing. It came out wonderful. Yay! I don't know why I waited so long. I guess I was a little nervous because it's so different from my usual art. That's awesome. Yay! Hannah said, any tips for making a Surreal piece in graphite or charcoal? I haven't fully decided which medium yet. Not really. I mean, the medium isn't going to make a difference. I'm going to design myself everything out. I design it first in Photoshop, and in that medium I would do the same. But you can also design it before I started doing everything in Photoshop. Excuse me. You can design it, just do loose sketches first. I wouldn't like jump into trying to come up with the idea on the original piece. So do some loose sketches, get some ideas there, or come up with ideas in Photoshop. But if you're gonna use Photoshop, obviously make your images in black and white. It'll give you a better idea of which values, like does it look good when these two things are together, when they're in black and white? Because if you're going by photo, sometimes, let's say the orange of the, like in this case, the octopus really stands out against the shell of the turtle. But if this was black and white, these are all way similar in value. So it wouldn't stand out enough. And so by switching that into black and white before you start, that can help. Let's see. Hi Lisa, any suggestions on the number of paintings for a portfolio on a new website? I started a website in July, but no paintings yet. Trying to paint a lot, but nothing is clicking. I'd say 10 at least. Minimum 10 would be my thing on a website. You're gonna get like, so I've painted thousands and thousands, and I'm not over exaggerating, in my lifetime, thousands of paintings and drawings. So I'm not gonna put all of those up there. Trust me when I say they are not all worth putting up there. But this is probably good enough. Let me test before I find out the hard way that it's blocked or anything like that. So I just take a clean piece of paper. Oh yeah, that is clogged. That is not spraying. Wait, there it comes. Yeah, I'm gonna have to soak it, but I think I'll be okay for this today. But that is getting very splattery. So yeah, that needs to, I'll pull the cap off and soak it in hot water. or I'll forget about it till next week and then complain it's still clogged. We all know that's what's really going to happen. We need to let that dry for a moment. If I were putting together a new website for an artist, I would say I want at least 10 images to work with. 10 good images. And as you go, you can either replace those images with better ones, or you can add to it depending on, like, is your skill level increasing exponentially, or if it's about the same, then I would probably just add to it. It kind of depends on where you're at with your art, but I would say 10 is a good place to start. I have a lot on mine, like a ridiculous amount on my website, and a lot of those can be pulled off, but I've got so many paintings, and sometimes I'll just actually, I haven't even updated my art on my website, and like my gallery needs to be updated, so does my shop. But anyway, I definitely don't put all of them up there myself. I want to put my best, but I have some on there that aren't my best either. I just like them for whatever reason, so there's that. But I say 10's a good goal to get yourself started. Wade spilled out of his bed. He has no head. Okay. That really should dry longer. I'm going to use the hairdryer to speed this along, so plug your ears. That should be good enough. Yeah, I can definitely see some little bits of splattering from the can of having been clogged. And clogging isn't an indication that you did something wrong. It happens with cans like that. You just take off the cap, soak it in hot water, problem solved, and let it dry. Nick said, I keep extra nozzles of this fixative soaking in water and alcohol when one gets spitty or clogged. I just rotate one of those. Look at you using common sense I don't have. That's a good idea. Anne said, hey Lisa, hope you're well. Me not so great. Oh, I'm sorry. I have a question. What do you use to clean blending stumps other than sandpaper? And what about paper to make your own? So, I'm sorry you're not doing well. I hope that whatever's going on works itself out. But for the blending stump, I don't clean them. What I do, I have some right here. In a cup. Let's see. This one is an example. This one's fairly new. So I have one dirty end and one light end. This is the end I use when I'm blending with my white charcoal, or if I were blending like just there wasn't a lot of charcoal or graphite on the area, it's fairly like clean or light. Dark areas, that's what I use the other end for. I should have some that are a better example because that one's actually really new. Where are they? Huh. Weird. Okay, here we go. There's one that's a bit dirtier. You don't clean them. You don't want them clean. And you certainly don't. I don't know why people do that. They take that sandpaper, I think because they come together so people think you should use them together. No, you don't grind this down on sandpaper. You just ruined it. You want this to be soft and smooth. You grind this on sandpaper, no, you've got a fluff ball essentially at the end. It leaves little lines and streaks when you try to use it. You just ruined it. Don't use this on sand. You're not using sandpaper to try to sand or clean this down. This doesn't need to be clean. You don't want this to be clean. It works better when it's dirty. However, this is a great question. We didn't really talk about this, do we? When you are working on, let's say I've got a light area. I don't want big, like this leaves. Actually, let me get some paper. We'll do some examples while we sit here for a second. Okay. So this is, will this show up? Yeah. It's dirty, but I can use that to blend. I can use that to draw. I can use that to shade an area out, depending on what I need it to do. Now, if that's too dark, if that's darker than the area I want to shade, this is where I usually have a light end. This is not a good example of that, but if I have a light end, then I can switch over to that to blend, or have a separate one ready to go that's always very clean, that you use it for your lightest areas. You don't clean this. We don't want this clean. We're using this to draw, we're using this to shade. So this being clean is kind of silly. And like I said, you run that on sandpaper to clean it and you've ruined it because now it's got ridges that it's like a fluff ball of anger. I don't like it. You might be able to get some cool effects with it. I wouldn't throw it away. Maybe you want something to be rough and bumpy, like if you're doing a tree or something, but we don't want to clean it. We like when these are dirty. The other thing is they're crazy inexpensive. I mean, what, like under $5 for several of them? I don't see a reason to try to, like, I can't go buy a new one to keep clean. I have to make the same one last by cleaning it and then have it dirty and then clean it. Like, they're inexpensive. This is not an expensive material. As far as making your own, again, why? Like, the paper I would use would likely be like an art paper, because that's what I have on hand, which costs more. Like, it doesn't make financial sense. It doesn't make practical sense. Like, I see no benefit to trying to make your own. They're so inexpensive. I get mine on Amazon all the time. You can get them at like local art stores, but I usually just pick them up on Amazon. And I don't find there to be much difference in like this brand over that brand, making, like, it's all really the same. And there's two different types that I use. I prefer these, but you can also get these little ones that are more rolled up and smaller, more defined sizes. I don't use these ones too much. I like this type personally, but that is going to be personal preference. I can't say this is terrible, don't buy this. Play with them both, see what works for you. But trying to sand them down to clean them, I feel ruins them. And I don't even think, like these, oh, here it is. Here's the sandpaper block. You know what these sandpaper blocks are good for? Sharpening your pencils, not those things. And we don't even want to sharpen those. So you will get to the point where you've used that for so long. Do I have one in here? I have some in here that I've had for like 10 years. I mean, I'm not kidding when I say I just use the same one. Yeah, here's one, super, super old, and they will start to get more dull at the tips. That's not even my oldest. Where's the one that got shut in my old truck thing? I haven't had that truck in like 12 years, so it's that old. It got shut in the door. It's not in here. It's bent, but it's perfect. Like my thumb fits perfect in the bend. I love it. But anyway, they will start to get to where they're kind of dulled at the end, and that's after an insane amount of use. You're not hitting that anytime soon. But they will start to dull, and they're still usable. Like, I just get a new one. They're cheap. There's no reason to be trying to extend the life. I feel like sometimes there's good reason to need to replace an item. There's good reason to need to try to clean an item. You need to figure out which is more practical. And in this case too, I mean, it's paper, so we're not talking about continuously throwing away plastic. Like, it's not getting into that issue. There's just no reason not, in my opinion, not to just replace them as needed. But like I said, I have one that is at least over 12 years old, because I hadn't had my truck in 12, like I stopped driving a long time ago. And I left that truck back in California. We moved here in 2007, 2008. And it had happened years before that. So that is how old. And I have been using that one this whole time. Never once sanded it. But what you're going to do, let's move this. Let's say I have a pencil like this one. It's starting to get kind of dull. Let's pull this up a little bit. I'm just going to roll that, twist it and turn it, and I can get that to a fine point without having to resharpen it. So you can make your pencils last longer. But that's the best use for these. Sharpening, no, it's not for that. Okay. Let's see. I love that question though. That doesn't get brought up often, so that was a great topic to cover. Scrolling up. Diane, I'm butchering your name and I apologize. Said, thank you for that. My website is still private until I finish building it and when I start adding paintings. Thank you so much for your expertise and wonderful videos. Oh, thank you. Thanks for watching and hanging out. Where are we? D said, I just bought new blending stumps if they become totally unusable, and I pretty much never throw the old ones away, just in case. Yeah, I reuse. Are you starting the yippy thing again, Gibson? That dog has been so vocal. He'll be sleeping and just yelp. Like, you come running out like, oh God, are you hurt? He's asleep. Like, such a drama queen over there. But anyway, just buy new ones. And I don't even buy them often. Like, I actually did recently buy new ones to use for my charcoal, because I've been using my graphite ones for my charcoal, which means they're not great for my charcoal or my graphite, because I don't want to get charcoal anyway. I finally did buy new ones. I almost never buy them, and I use them all the time. Like, they really are. Oh yeah, someone's talking in their sleep. We've got barking going on over there. Anne said, it's more my health issues I'm having, but all right, that makes so much sense. Thank you for showing me your blending stumps and the advice. I knew I could come to you. I thank you for bringing a question we don't normally get. That was kind of a fun one that, like, It's kind of new information, I guess. I don't talk about it often. Who is barking in their sleep? Gibson, I think it's you. No, it's Wade. It's the bad cow. It's funny because he doesn't bark when he's awake. So watching him bark as he's all worked up in his sleep. Wade, are you having a dream? Bad cow. Bad cow. Wake up. He's moving his ear, I think. Maybe I woke him up. Okay. Yeah, Nick says he's chasing bunnies. Probably. And Gibson's been really vocal. Like, my neighbor will talk to him over the fence because, like, the way their patio is set up, he can see, like, over. And so Gibson loves him. Well, Gibson loves everybody. But he's talking to him. Gibson actually started howling at him yesterday. I'm like, what? He's usually not a noisy dog. He whines. He's a whiny boy. But the howling, I'm like, well, that's new. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and start on here with some of the detail. Now, the areas on this guy, there are some like raised bumps. I don't want these to blend out. I'm going to switch to my wax-based pencil. So I'll be using mostly my Caran-d'Ache Luminance and my Derwent Drawing, which is funny because Derwent Lightfast. Words are so hard. Derwent Lightfast are listed as being an oil-based pencil, but in practice, they do feel somewhere between. It's a really nice balance of an oil and wax base. So they're going to blend out more than Caran-d'Ache, less than Faber-Castell, if that makes sense on this. So it's a lot different. If you're working on hot press watercolor paper, it's not the same thing. Like, this is just because of sanded paper and how we blend on this. Tara said, I tried to make the touch-up texture and titanium white today, but I can't get touch-up texture now because it's prohibited. I think I'll have to accept I can't have it. Oh my gosh, are you serious? That sucks. I'm not sure what solutions there are. Hopefully they'll straighten that out. That's weird. I mean, it's non-toxic, so that's odd. I don't understand some of the laws that people come up with or that we make. I'm like, I'm okay with regulation, but if it's based on logic, I'd like to go that route. Let's see. I'm just pulling out some different oranges and magentas, and again, I'm going mostly with my Caran-d'Ache Luminance. So that's the cool thing too. You know, we talk about with working in powder blender and working on sanded paper that you're typically going to use your Faber-Castell. And a lot of people are like, well, what about all my wax-based pencils? Like, I bought all those too. You can still use them. We're just using them on our later layers, but we use them all. Do I use Poscas? I do not. For no reason other than I've not tried. I don't know anything about them. I've not tried them. So it's not like they're terrible. I don't like it. It's not that at all. I don't know anything about them. Okay, let's see. We've got a lot of orange, and I don't know if I need to go with a lighter orange to make it stand out. Oh, that works. I may do this and then put the darker on top of it to get some variation. So I'm just going to start building up kind of little circles. Start getting that texture. We've got a lot around the eye too. Now I've got glassine under my hand so I can rest it here. Oh, you know what may be interesting to you guys? I'm going to do a separate video, but I think you guys are going to appreciate this. So we're going to take a quick break right now because I want to show you what I have done. I think I found a good way. So I'm asked all the time, I guess I should spit this out, right? I'm asked all the time how I ship my paintings. The problem with that is I don't like to give advice because no matter what you do, if the post, I don't want to be responsible if the post office or USPS or no, that is the same thing, UPS or FedEx or something trashes your box. But I did find boxes I love, and I found a method that I'm very comfortable with right now shipping. Let me show you one that I'm currently in progress with. We're going to come back to this, but I have to show you guys this. So I'm super excited. And I don't want to wait until I make a video. So, box. Let's see. So this is a 16 by 20 inch painting. And the problem with the 16 by 20 inch, gosh, anything over 8 by 10, it's kind of a pain to find a box that's the right size. This is exactly 16 by 20, and this one is 3.5 or I think this is 4 inches thick. So when folded down, just so you can kind of see, I haven't finished sealing it. You're looking at about, you know, a nice thin box. I don't want to ship in an oversized box, but most boxes big enough for that painting are going to be insanely oversized. So this is going to work for if I had a colored pencil piece, or a painting in this case. So first thing was to get the box. They have them on Amazon, and you can get packs. I think I spent like $50 or $60, I don't know what it was, on a pack of 25. Let me tell you, worth it. Now on the downside, I have to store very large boxes. So I got 16 by 20s. a pack of 18 by 24s and a pack of 11 by 14s, because those are my more common sizes to sell. So now I may actually start pushing on my website now that I've got these boxes. And the poor person who's waiting for this, I've got to throw something extra in here. They ordered this painting a couple weeks ago, and I'm just now, like, it wasn't varnished yet, and I didn't realize it, so I had to varnish it, and then I had to wait for the boxes. It was a thing. So there we go. I think we're reconnected. Hopefully that doesn't start happening constantly. So the next step, and this is exactly 16 by 20, so you have to watch this, but let me pop this out because it's kind of jammed in there, but I think it's really cool. Come out. There we go. Now, I took a piece of glassine. It's in, I don't know if you can see, right in there. I laid glassine over the top of the surface of the canvas. So pH neutral, acid free, nothing sticking to it. It's not sticking to the painting. Perfect. So glassine covers the entire front of the canvas. It's taped down with pH neutral masking tape. And then I just got some cheapy black cardboard. So it doesn't matter that this isn't acid free. I've got that covered with the glassine, but it might be acid free. I have no idea. But just like cheap, I think from Walmart poster board, the foam core poster board. And again, pH neutral tape, taped that. This thing, you can't, like, it would be really hard for this to get damaged in shipping. So I'm really excited about that. So let me put this back in here. Now, the downside is, I don't know that it's the downside, but if you look at how it fits in this box, let me back up. Wrong side. Edge to edge. Good, because it's exactly 16 by 20. I just kind of, the board's down, everything's perfect. But UPS, if you get insurance on theirs, they want like a 2-inch gap, I think it was 2 or 4, all the way around the painting in order for them to officially insure it wouldn't get damaged on the edges. However, with the stretched canvas, it's around wood already. I'm not super worried about that. I think it's safer for the painting to be edge to edge, really firm. And when you do this with a painting, you don't really want a bunch of air, like a bunch of space between the edges, because it's easier for it to get crushed. And as it starts getting crushed, more damage is done. I find it's easier to go ahead and fill it in the box as tight as possible. And so in this case too, I do have a couple of inches of a gap between, I don't know if you can see, right there. I'm going to use the reuse. So let me set this down. Okay, back. I'm going to reuse the, those air packs that come from Amazon or wherever else you order stuff. I always save those and I'll reuse that to solidify it, make sure it's in there real strong. But that setup I find to be less likely to have damage than any other setup. But I'm really excited given that those boxes being exact sizes, more narrow, and the exact on the outer edge to common painting sizes, that I was really excited to find. And that's one of the main reasons that I don't really push paintings for sale, because I always have to make my own boxes and it just takes I spend an hour packing something. I don't have an extra hour in a day. So that's why you guys never see me advertise that often for a painting for sale. I can now, at least on these sizes, but you can get them in all different sizes. They're, just look up packing or shipping box, and they have just tons of different. I'm just so excited. I'm going to make a standalone video about that, but I thought in the meantime, being that I am asked so often about how I pack my work, that's how I'm going to do it now. But the big thing too, I think putting that foam core board on the top and the back to protect the painting, if that box got punctured or if the person opening it uses a razor blade, it's going to protect the actual canvas. Hopefully they don't use a razor blade, but I mean, the painting is much, much more protected. And those poster board, I say poster board, but it's like that foam core. I feel like those are more inexpensive. Like they're not that expensive for the amount of protection that it's giving you. So if I have like old Amazon boxes, I could use that too, but I didn't have any of that size. So I had to go buy those. But it was, it was a few dollars, not that big of a deal. When I used to go to, what is it called? The Container Store and get boxes to ship, but they were always too tall. So I have to cut them down. There was just a lot of work to make that work. But even given that, they weren't the exact size, and I would pay $5 to $10, $15 for one box to ship. I just spent like, I don't know, $45 to $50. So I don't remember what it was for that, for the 16 by 20s for a pack of 25. Like that's a good bargain. But like I said, you have to store it. I'm excited though, because that is going to make shipping stuff so much easier, and I will definitely make a standalone video of it. Anyway, I'm excited. Let's scroll back up. Where are we? Yeah, there. Okay, you guys just got buffering. So good. It completely cut out on my end. That's all. Always scary when that happens. Anne said, I have another question. How do you pick out your colored pencils for the reference photo? Is paint the best way? What do you, I'm not sure what you mean. How do I pick out your colored pencils for the reference photo? I just look at the reference photo and I'm like, oh, that's oranges and magentas, and I grab some orange and magentas and I try it, and if it doesn't look good, I put that aside and try another one. It's always trial and error until I find the right color that works. But is paint the best way? Do you mean, I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'm sorry. I'm jealous, Paul. You got to sleep late. I'm going to sleep. Actually, I'm going to go ship that painting, and then I'm coming home and going back to bed. And hopefully Sushi doesn't scream his head off again. My husband's Indian ring neck would not let me nap yesterday. George said, anyone opening art with razor blades should be hospitalized. Oh, yeah. Part of me wants to say yes, and part of me is like, I'd be the idiot doing that too. Or actually, I use steak knives usually to open boxes. I make poor life choices all the time. One of my friends from the Humblefish Forum, SMS Reeves, said, this is really fun to watch. I love your artwork. Thank you for posting the link to the live stream on Humblefish's Forum. Thank you. By the way, if any of you guys, I tried telling you guys this on the Wednesday live stream, and when I was doing that is when it cut out. Does YouTube have something against Humblefish? Questions. Anyway, Humblefish, if any of you guys are into saltwater fish at all, this forum is so good. It's humble.fish, and I think like /communities, but something like you just go to humble.fish. These people know their stuff. My gosh, I am the like least knowledgeable person on this website. Like I'm just sucking up all their help all over the place. They like, and I've been keeping my tank for what, my current reef for 2.5 years. I had my previous one for like over 10, 11 years back, 95 to 2000. Things changed since then. Let me tell you, I feel so old, but, they help me so much with any problems I have in the fish, any questions. And like, it's just a fun forum. I posted my frogs over there. Everyone's all super, I mean, how can you not like the tree frogs? But anyway, if you're into fish, that is the best forum. Absolutely love it there. Like I'm constantly refreshing, like, did somebody else ask a question? I learned so much from other people's questions too. It's just, if you like fish, that is the place to go. Let's see. Anne said, was asking, is paint the best way for using an eyedropper to, you can use paint. I use Photoshop, but that's because I already pay for Photoshop and that's what I use all the time. You can, any app. I wouldn't say there's one that's like a best, any one that you can like make a little color block and then do the eyedropper tool. Any app at all would work for you. Paul said, should the bubble wrap be positioned on the surface of the painting or the other way around? On the surface of the painting, glassine is your first layer. Next layer is going to be that poster board or something hard, cardboard, something to like really protect it. And then you can put bubble wrap on either side if you want to do that. But I don't like to have bubble wrap touching the canvas because if any pressure is added, it starts to push and can kind of stretch out the canvas. So canvas, it's fabric. And if any pressure is added to it or anything starts pushing, that can start to stretch it. So I want something very rigid, something very hard. If it wasn't so expensive to do plywood anymore, I used to do that. Or I've done that on bigger paintings. You're really protecting it then, but it also weighs a lot. So, pros and cons. But something very, very rigid first. I don't want something squishy touching the painting itself. So, and that's going to be the case too if I'm doing, let's say, a colored pencil piece that I said, oh, look, I'm the horse of, what is the horse in Wizard of Oz? The horse of different colors, the color changing horse? I don't know. My lighting keeps changing in here. But, no, I'm too old. No one knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, where was I going with that? Anyway, I want something rigid on the side. And then you can do bubble wrap just to fill that space. And the only reason that I want to fill that space is if like in that case, I've got that what? Let's say it's 2 inches. When I ship things, I keep in mind, like if I handed this box over ready to go right now to a 3-year-old and let that 3-year-old play with it for a week, they're going to use it as a table. They're going to use it as a step stool. They're going to be tossing it across the room. Is that painting going to make it through that? If not, I didn't pack it well enough because shipping it, they're hard on it and they will stack other things on top. And if there's like an air gap and they set a smaller box on it, it could crush ow, hit my easel. It could crush inwards, and so that's what the air is for. It's not really so much protecting the painting as protecting the box, which is protecting the painting. But I want something rigid, to, you know, making sure that if something does get pushed on it, that the bubble wrap or the airbag things aren't the thing that's pushing directly on the canvas. Hopefully that makes sense. Horse of a different color. Thank you, Joseph. Clark Fine Art said, oh, that's a horse of a different color. Yeah, that is me when I'm in the studio. Oh, there it is. Throwing pencils on the floor. Okay, so a few of you are old enough to know what I'm talking about. Back to dots. More dots. Any WoW players? We talked about that. What was the video a couple weeks ago? More dots. So I will come through and do shading on these individually, but we can start building that texture. So much with art too are dots and, like, I don't know, little splotches. It looks good. Anne said, ouch, better that hurt hitting your easel. Huh, better? Bet that hurt. God, I can't read today. I need new glasses badly. Bet that hurt hitting your easel. It wasn't terrible. The easel, so it's not the little tray thing on this easel. It's really wide, and it's on, like, screws on the end, and so it tilts. You can tilt it as you want that tray to be. So when I hit it, it usually just makes it, it's not like hitting it and it stays straight. You hit it and it tilts with wherever you hit, so you get a little give there. The unfortunate side of that is that means my pencils get knocked off because now they're rolling off the tilt. Nick said, I'm older and I was thinking the giant horse of Oz. What? Kylie said, haven't been around in a while. What inspired this piece? Loving it. You guys actually were the ones who came up with this. We designed it in a live stream a couple months ago now. So we sat there and just did a collage for different things, and this was what everyone came up with. So I can't be blamed for it. Let's see. This may be too... No, that'll work. I may need to pull out some of the purples with my Derwent Lightfast because they've got a bigger selection. Cat's Art Pick said it's 91 here today. How's it there? Right now it's 90, but it's going to get hot later. We've had for Texas, we've had a pretty mild summer so far. Thank God, because I think we're just being like, because I know some of you guys are really suffering in hotter temperatures than you're used to, but I'm like, this is payback for the hell that we went through in February here. I actually like the heat. I'm a big fan of summer. Spring and summer are my favorites. I would like fall, except it means winter is coming. Like I don't like the cold. I don't like how everything's brown and dark, and I hate it. Like I spend the whole year dreading winter, which is not a healthy way to, like, I need to look at the positives of, yay, it's spring, or yay, it's summer, I should enjoy this. But I'm like, oh, winter's even closer again. Here we go. I hate winter so much. Like it is a passionate, passionate hate. Even more than billboards, and that is saying so, and flexi leads. Okay, I do need a little bit of black in that eye, and I think I'm going to stick with my Caran d'Ache Luminance so it stays in place. Oh, no, that is not the right pencil. That is dark brown. You go back in your home. Where is black? There we go. Does humidifier help with the heat wave? No, it would make it worse. That would make it, well, Texas is already fairly humid anyway, but when you raise the humidity, it makes it feel hotter than what it really is. So yeah, no, a humidifier is the wrong choice when you're hot. Let's see, Anne said, we had 32 Celsius. Oh my gosh, in the UK a few weeks ago, and OMG, I suffered with it because of asthma and anemia, and thought, and though it's been cooled, I still suffer a bit. Yeah, I can't. Oh, oh my gosh, that is hot. Especially for you guys, because I know you're not really set up to handle heat like we are here. Like in Texas, we weren't set up to handle the cold, but we're fine. We're used to the heat. But it's, oh man, I feel for you guys who don't have, aren't used to it and don't have air conditioning and ways to handle that. I mean, here in Texas, we just do everything indoors in the summer. Like, there's activities, there's places you can go, but we just all stay in the air conditioner. Like, when I walk Gibson, we go at night when the sun's down because I can't handle the heat. My husband can't handle the heat or the sun either. He gets really sick. So we just stay inside. But both of us have like our hobbies and stuff. The only thing outside I really do personally is taking care of my yard, my crepe myrtles and stuff. Most of that's pretty, like I have to pull weeds. That's about the extent of, some of the pots have to be hand watered, but not a lot. So I don't even have to be outside a lot. Most of the stuff I do is indoors. So that makes things easier for me. Maybe if I had to work outside in the heat in the summer, I might change my tune about the heat. Gypsy Heart said, oh, but the true measures of hatred would be to compare it to your disdain of Kristen Stewart and Vimeo. I don't know which is worse, but I think Vimeo's worse. I'm going to say Vimeo is worse. I almost swore. What a crap platform. I'm still bitter. I still need to make that video. But there's a lot of things I need to do. But, yeah. I think Vimeo is definitely worse. Paul said, oh, there's like a dry heat. Yeah, dry heat's more what you get in California. You get humidity out there sometimes, but normally it's a drier heat. Whereas Texas, we can be the exact same temperature, but because we have the humidity, we'll make it feel like it's hotter than what it is. So like on our phone, or like whatever your weather app, you'll get, it's generally the humidity. Like right now, my phone says it's 89, but feels like 94, and that would be because of the humidity. So it will feel a lot higher. Like there was one day it felt like it said it was 94, but feels like 104 because it was so humid. We'd had thunderstorms come through. It was so humid. So sorry, my face is itching. When you went outside, it was like instant, oh God, I need a shower. Well, I just got a shower because I instantly was just soaked. That was not fun. I actually like the humidity, but that was a bit much. Ask anyone in Florida. Oh, they have the heat and the humidity there. He said in Alberta we have had a very hot summer and no rain yet. Oh, we've had an abnormal. It's so weird. It's like your weather came down to us. We had the cold February and then we've had a fairly wet season, and it's not been as hot as usual. It's hot, but it's not as hot as usual. I felt sorry for you guys. Anne said, oh God, everyone moans when it's too hot or too cold. Can't win here in the UK. Natalie Bug said, in the UK, heat wave absolutely makes me super ill, even if I'm inside. It's why my shoulder flared up so bad and I couldn't do any art. Oh, wow, that sucks. I'm sorry. Skylar said, and supposedly Florida is even worse with extra humidity. Yeah, exactly. There's a fungus gnat in here. Speaking of humidity, I've got all my plants. You occasionally get fungus gnats in here. Let's see. Clark Reinhardt said the few weeks of summer up here in the North Pole, she's up in Maine, we spend outdoors. It's so hard to get stuff done in the studio then. Now winter, that's about 7 months of good studio time. You know what's funny? So those of you familiar with artist Alan Willett, he does birds, like amazing colored pencil artist. His birds are phenomenal. Like he's amazing. He's also hilarious. But anyway, he told me once, I don't remember how it got brought up or if he posted in a group or what it was, but his theory on why so many, I think I had said something about that because I made a joke about how him and Jason Morgan, who's in Wales, Alan Willett's in the UK, how they're like, why is the UK producing such amazing artists? And he's like, because the weather's too crappy to go outside, so we all just sit inside and draw all the time. That wasn't exact wording, I'm paraphrasing, but that was the gist of it, which was funny. Paul said, I'm a fan of sunny afternoon naps because even though it's hot, the wind brings is good. I can't nap outside. I have to be like inside in the air conditioner with earplugs and like all the conditions perfect because I'm a pansy. Kylie Sketches said, summers here in South Africa, we have humidity at about 42 degrees Celsius in summers. Oh my gosh. Holy crap. Okay, you win. You absolutely win. Or lose in this case. Natalie said, my region of Queensland has the same climate as Florida. Winter is the only time it's not hot. About 80% humidity. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm adjusting his eye a bit. We've got a lot of, let's see, I need to pull that out a bit. It's a little bit too small in here right now. I need to get more of a cream color too. So one of the nice things when I draw the octopus, it's okay. Like if something ends up being a little bit rough, a little bit grainy or gritty, which I normally avoid with colored pencil, we want that texture. Let it work for you here. Okay, I think it might work. It might be too light. Let's find out. See, this is what I talk about all the time when choosing colors. It's not, we have in our head that the artist knows exactly I should use this color for this situation. I don't know. I'm like, I've got two super different colors. Oh, my hand is not the right color there. But two super different colors. I don't know which is going to be the best choice. Try one. If I don't like it, put it down, try the other one. And Nick said, I enjoy my 6 days per year of hot weather. No, I like hot more often. I could not deal with, oh, this one works. I don't think I could deal with real winter. Like I complain about ours, and Texas winter is not a real winter. It's just ugly. I love Texas, except winter. Big Greyhound sigh back there. Skylar said, curious, are you having any problems with your internet or 5G phone working lately? Yeah, I'm assuming your phone is 5G. It is not 5G. I'm not that fancy. I couldn't justify paying the extra money for 5G because, this is not what you asked, but I'm answering anyway, because we don't have enough 5G towers. Like if I went into Dallas, and I hate big cities, so I'm not going into Dallas if I can avoid it. Like there's no benefit for me. A lot of people are like, oh, buy the 5G phone. Why? Like it's not in most areas yet. So you're paying for something that isn't there. You're paying extra for, no. So anyway, and I usually replace mine. I'm actually coming about due to replace mine every 2 years. That's one thing that I'm like always up to, like, yeah, I'm big on my cell phones. But anyway, were we having problems with it? Yeah, well, AT&T, I don't have AT&T, I'm Verizon, but I know AT&T, they have an outage or had an outage, I can't talk, scheduled for yesterday in like this whole area. Their cellular, they were changing something, I don't know, it was going to be down. That didn't affect me, but we do have AT&T like cable, fiber, internet, whatever. I don't know the words, but that has been, we've been having problems in this area lately for that. Thea said, in George, South Africa, we have 4 seasons in a day, but the best landscapes, cultures, and animals to draw, so can't complain. That's, you know, I like, Texas is, they always talk, oh, big butterfly flying around. Sorry, I got distracted. But Texas is known for that. Like we'll have, if you don't like, what do they say? If you don't like the weather in Texas, wait 10 minutes or something like that. I don't remember what the saying is. I don't pay attention. I always screw up those type of sayings. But anyway, ours changes a lot too. I don't like the variation, but you are right. You have the best animals for sure. Paul said, what pen do you use for general use? Gel pen, ballpoint, or retractable? Ballpoint. That's just like writing notes, and I don't like do art or anything with it. Dennis said, does mixing graphite and colored pencil cause archival issues? Archival, no, but keep in mind, so graphite is a lubricant. It's very slick, and colored pencil just does not stick well to it. So and then graphite doesn't stick well on top of the colored pencil. So when I mix the two, like this zone is going to be in black and white, and I'm just using the graphite, and this zone is just colored pencil, I'm using the colored pencil. That's where I've had the best results doing mixed media with graphite and colored pencil, but trying to layer them over each other, it's not great. But archival issues, no, you're fine. Skylar said, that's a good point. We kind of didn't really have a choice, but our phones were so outdated. Yeah, they, now it's getting to the point now where it might start being worth it. But 2 years ago was the last time we upgraded. I need darker on that, so we'll come back to that. 2 years ago is when we last updated. And at the time I was like, that just doesn't make sense. But now I think it's probably in way more areas. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I just knew I wasn't going to pay an extra. I think it was like $200 extra. I have the Samsung Note 10 Plus. I don't know, the monster giant phone. But I do too much drawing and stuff and notes, and I need big, and I'm blind. But anyway, it was like $200 extra if you wanted 5G, and I'm like, that makes no sense. Do not, nope. Kylie said, can't believe your pups haven't moved since I've been watching. My big poodle moves so often when sleeping. Crazy to see such still pups. Yeah, greyhounds they're called, what do they call them? 60-mile-per-hour couch potatoes. Mine aren't allowed on the furniture, but because Gibson Gibson gets growly if he's on the furniture and you want to sit on it. He's like, we tried letting him sleep in my bed. Yeah, no, that lasted like 2 days. And he turns out gets very like, no, this is my space. I'm taking over yours and I'll growl if you try to move me. You don't get to, no, you're on the floor now. But anyway, we just got beds all over the floor. So point is, no one cares about that story. Yeah, they're 60-mile-per-hour couch potatoes. Like, they sleep, they don't move. This is the majority of the day. Now, if I were to get up and leave the room, they're going to be right there with me. They follow me from room to room, wherever I am. But as soon as I stop, they'll fight over who lays in the best bed. Whichever bed they think is the best that day, they'll fight over, not fight, but like whoever wants it the most will lay on it as fast as possible so the other dog can't take it. And then that's it. They don't move. Let's see. Shayna said, yeah, so for racing dogs, people think they're going to be super active. No, and they're only 3 years old. They're fairly young, and that is what you see most of the day. If you're sitting still in a room, that's all you get. Shayna said, I just joined. Do you remember people on your live streams? I do. Like names. I love your artwork, by the way. It makes me all excited. Oh, nice. No, I definitely, and I remember you were on Joseph's last week, or Monday. But I will say I don't always remember. Sometimes I mix up who's who, but usually sometimes. We'll say sometimes. Let's see. Molestain Pencil Art said you were using the best colored pencils, Luminance. They're good. They're definitely good. Paula said, me too. I love the bigger phones. Always purchase the iPhone Plus. Yeah, I used to think I wanted the smallest phone possible, and now that I've started using these bigger ones, and this one has my phone is filthy, but this one has the pen, so like I can actually write notes, and I do this all the time. Like you can actually like jot down things, do little sketches, and for editing photos as an artist, when we need to edit our photo or write something on it or before we post online, like you want to do at Lachri or whatever on the, like as a watermark, that pen is wonderful. So yeah, it's, I wish other companies made it. Only Samsung's has that built in. And so that I know of, I don't think anyone else has it yet. So I always end up going, I mean, Samsung's good, but it's like, that's kind of my only option at this point. Cause that pen is a must have for me. I am not going without it, that's for sure. More of a grayish dark color here. Maybe a little bit of a bluish tint. Do you have a bluish gray? Maybe this one will work. Let's see. Anne said, oh, my smudge cat, OMG, she growls like a dog if you move her off her bed. You know, one of my Italian Greyhounds used to do that, Echo, but she could still sleep in the bed because it's like, she's 10 pounds. She's not going to hurt anybody if she does. She never snapped, but she would growl and moan if you tried to move her. A dog that size, they snap at you and connect, like some serious damage can be done. So it was like, nope, we are not even playing that game. You lay on the floor. And it was bad because after he got booted off the bed, but he still kept trying for a while to get on. So I'd walk by and he'd be in the room, had snuck on the bed. And it's like, get your butt, nope, not happening. But now no one even tries to get on the furniture. Well, sort of. If I'm sitting, the few times I actually sit down on the couch, they rarely get used. But if I'm sitting in there on the couch, he'll sometimes try to climb up to get onto my lap, but it's like his front half laying on me, which I really shouldn't let him do, but whatever, it's cute. But I really shouldn't let him do it. Natalie said, our boy is like that too. Our girl is a bed dog as a card-carrying crazy Greyhound lady. The random stories are a good portion of why I'm here. Gypsy Heart said, I watched an older video. You saw a certain deckled edge watercolor sketch you vowed to finish because it was pretty. Any more paintings in it? What? I don't remember. Oh, the sketchbook. Yeah, no, I do know what you're talking about now. I know. I don't follow through with things. I get a little excited, and then I do. Sketchbooks are one of them. So my friend Lena, you guys know Lena Daniel here on YouTube. So she is big on sketchbooks, and she does these gorgeous little things, and I'm like, how cool. I want a sketchbook that's done, you can flip through. And I get all excited, I get all motivated seeing her stuff, and then I just don't do it. I don't have time. I have way too many hobbies, and I have way too many, I'm not loving this. I just have too much stuff. Like I have to, if I'm doing art, it needs to be something because I put out so much on Patreon. That's the thing. I have to have such a tight schedule on how much art needs to get done every week. Like it needs to be something completed. So I don't have time to do like fun little sketches, fun little like things that aren't for Patreon. So that's part of it for me. But no, I have not as much as I want to. Oop, that just jumped. There we go. Anne said, animals are weird sometimes. Oh my gosh, isn't that the truth? Nick said, the dog is my equivalent of a hot water bottle. Yeah, that's how the Italian Greyhounds were. They definitely kept me warm. But, and now that was the other thing I didn't like. Gibson only tried letting him sleep in the bed for a couple of days. And it was like, he's so big. And he inevitably would be pushing up against me and he's hot. Like, he's not under the covers, but he is hot. The Italian Greyhounds were under the covers. He's on top, but I'm like, you are cooking me, dog. So that, and then the leaning against me, and I drink a lot of water. I'm up using the bathroom all night long. Like, I drink a stupid amount. Like, I'm always drinking water. I'm always thirsty. Incoming a bunch of medical. You probably have this wrong with you. It's been my whole life. Anyway, every time I get up and use the bathroom, I come back and he'd be in my space. And so I'm like, okay, you have to move now. And that's when he get pissy and like not want to like, nope, that's my bed, you get out. So he has a bed. He still sleeps in my room, but he sleeps on the floor on a bed. Real comfy. I think his bed's more comfy than mine. But that was definitely a big fluffy nope. But nothing about having him, because I've never let a big dog sleep in my bed before. So I, only had the 10-pound Italian Greyhounds. So I wasn't sure. I didn't realize how much that would suck. It sucked. That was a quick, so I was almost glad when he started getting all growly and being a jerk about it, because it was like, okay, now I don't feel bad at all telling you to get your butt out of my bed, because we aren't having that. But also it was really annoying before I made that call. Paula said, I just learned that dust accumulate in enclosed rooms, so it's preferred to let sunlight light your room to avoid it. It's dust mites. Dust mites don't like the sunlight, I believe, is the reason. So dust accumulates everywhere, dead skin cells, all of that. And dust mites are in your bed. Dust mites are everywhere. But yeah, having the sun hit it is supposed to like knock them out. And so one of the things that was kind of a thing that went around for a while, like, oh, you shouldn't make your bed, leave it open so it'll kill the dust mites in there. The thing is, some people will get allergies. Just dust your house. Shayna said, dogs are so humble with my cats, the cat rule, and we just live there. Oh, you've not had sight hounds then. There is nothing humble about that dog. Ooh, Gibson worse so than the bad cow, but no. Sight hounds are kind of considered cats of the dog world. Yeah, no, they think they're in charge. Moody Ron says, my Moto G has the stylus pen. I don't use it often enough, mainly because I forget it's there. Does Motorola still make phones? I don't know. I haven't even looked at their stuff. I had my first smartphone was the Motorola Droid. And I mean, at the time it was good, but I did love it. We went that way. I wanted an iPhone so bad. This is before I ended up being super anti-Apple. My issue with Apple, before anyone's like, why? I get that it's a good product. I think it's overpriced. I think the technology in other areas have caught up with them, and they're still way overpriced, although I guess the same could be said for Samsung, because I paid just as much for Samsung. But my biggest issue was the control. Like, I couldn't like when I used to have iPods. Trying to get your music, if I got a new laptop, or my laptop, I'd have issues where it would crash and I'd lose the music. You can't just get your music off your iPad or iPod and then sync them. Like, it didn't work. Now, they've changed stuff, I'm sure. But back then you couldn't, and it used to make me so mad. They're like, we're preventing to make sure you're not, pirating the music. And I'm like, but I couldn't, you already protected it from, like, it's definitely not pirated that it got onto the iPod. Why can't I get it? Frustrating. So yeah, I was not like, that was kind of my big thing where I was like, I'm not doing that. But there were a lot of programs like that you couldn't use, and I like to customize things a lot. And yet back then, I know it's changed some, but back then you couldn't do that with Apple, the things that I like to customize on my phones. So that's where that came. But anyway, at the time I wanted the iPhone, but Verizon didn't have them, and AT&T is just crap in where I was in California, and then where I was in Dallas. Like, AT&T was, I don't know if that's improved, but it was bad at the time. So we got the Droid. I loved that thing for, 2 years until I upgraded. I think we did Droid or the Motorola Droid for a couple of phones. And then, no, what was the next one? It was the Google made a phone. It was like their, oh, I can't remember now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Said, I just noticed that Gibson is laying in a different bed. Yeah, there's a story about that at the beginning of the video that was so boring. I'm not going to repeat it because it really was that boring. But I moved that one in here and it can just kind of stay in here. And I'm like, you can lay on that one then. Then I don't have to drag the other bed from the living room for live stream days. Paul said, the downside of Apple is they scan your photos in your camera roll. I don't doubt that Google's doing the same. I'm not going to pretend that any other company isn't doing all, that they're not all violating privacy issues. Nick said, I'm lucky my dog lets me sleep in his king-size bed. Okay, still paying attention to the contrast here. Let's see, what else do we need? We've got some lighter areas coming through here. We're starting to get, this is the fun part to me, the little detail stuff. I should probably zoom this in a little bit for you guys. Let's see. Which one is that? That one. Let me pull that in. You can kind of see the details a bit there. It's not great. Webcams are just such, they're not the best quality. Thea said, how do I convince my family we should get an Italian Greyhound? My husband loves pit bulls, but they will eat everything in the art studio. Yeah, I mean, have you ever had an Italian Greyhound? Because here's the thing with little dogs. They pee on everything. I don't care how good you are at training, and you're going to have people who, my Italian Greyhounds are perfectly trained. Yeah, don't shine a black light on your carpet. I guarantee you they've been finding a corner that you don't know about yet, and they've been peeing on it. Chihuahuas, Yorkies, the little dogs are just pee heads. And for me, that's something that is a bit like, I'm weird about things being clean, and no. So, I mean, I loved my girls, and I knew that about them going into it. It just, as I aged, as I got older, that was less tolerable. So I had to keep diapers on them, essentially. Like I took them out every 2 hours, and it didn't matter. They'd come right in and like, I went outside, but I'm gonna go inside again. It got worse when they got older, because Jessie especially was very senile then. But be aware that dog, it will potty training an Italian Greyhound, a Yorkie, a Chihuahua. These small breeds are very, very difficult. And you think, like, so with me, one of the things they say with potty training was they don't want to go outside in the cold. Like, okay, I've got a solution for this. I made an indoor potty area with pee pads, which was fine. They used it. But sometimes it was just, I'm right here and it's closer. I'll just go here instead of 5 feet that way. And I know how to train dogs. So a lot of people think, well, you don't know. No, I train dogs. That is like one of my things. That's actually what I plan to do as a career before this. So that was frustrating. And I would get them to where they were really good, and they'd be good for a year, no accidents. And I use the black light, I'm checking. And then all of a sudden one of them would decide, yeah, I think this is a nice area to start going now. And it's very, be aware of that. I don't think Italian Greyhounds are for everybody. Now, if that's not something that bothers you, or you're set up in a way that's okay, then go for it. They're the sweetest dogs. So cute. They're hilarious. There's a lot I love about them. You can never let them off a leash. So Sighthound, if you're not familiar with Sighthounds, you can never let them off the leash. And you will see irresponsible people. God, there was one YouTuber who was really popular, irresponsible as crap with her dogs, and she had Italian Greyhounds, and she's walking the dogs off the leash, running down the neighborhood, and I'm like, Italian Greyhounds are sight hounds, so if they see anything to chase, that dog is gone, and they don't hear you. I don't care how well you train them. They don't hear you calling them back. You might be able to get their attention, but you also might not. You always have to have that dog on a leash if it's outdoor in an unenclosed area. So these are just a few. I always tell people the negatives before I tell them the positives. They're amazing dogs. I adored mine. God, they're cute. There's so much there is to like about them, but I always tell people the negative first, because for some people that negative is so much that it's like they don't appreciate the positive with them. So you just need to be aware of that. For me, I'm kind of like, no more little dogs. I'm not doing the potty train. Like, I'm not going through that. And they were potty trained. They would be good. And then just randomly, they're like, I think I'm over the whole going outside thing. I mean, you can put me outside. I may or may not go, but I'm also going to go inside. So that was, but yeah, I had the indoor potty area, and I thought that would be like, I'm so smart. I know how to train. I know all the things. This is going to work. It did. And then until it didn't. And I mean, I cleaned it every time they went, so it was always clean, but darn dogs. But anyway, yes, no, pit bulls can be very destructive. Italian greyhounds can too. Echo, I mean, it was smaller areas. She ruined a sweater I really liked. She found it in the laundry, like went in, grabbed it, and was using it as a tug-of-war toy. Got Jessie to play with her. And then she used to chew up my shoes, was a big thing for her. That took a while to get her broken from that. Actually, the thing that finally worked is putting my shoes in a container. Like, it could be in the little tray. She could pull it out, but she wouldn't. If it was on the floor, it was hers. If it was in that tray, she'd leave it alone. Weird dogs. But, you know, they're prone to, you've got to be careful as far as leg breaks and stuff like that within IG. So I love them, but there are definitely negatives that make them not for everybody. So you need to be aware of those first. And then, you know, you like you said, you didn't want the destructiveness of a larger breed. So I get that, but, convincing somebody who wants a pit that they should get an Italian Greyhound instead, that's a tough sell. Those dogs are nothing like each other, like at all. I know of someone who had both. She was lucky and hers got along and there weren't any issues. I don't like having super large dogs with super small dogs of any breed, because dogs are dogs and somebody's going to get annoyed with somebody else. And if the large dog snaps at the smaller dog, or let's say the smaller dog, in my case, I was always worried about Jessie starting crap because she was a bit of a jerk with other dogs. If she snaps at another dog or growls, that other dog's naturally going to respond, but the bigger dog is going to win. So I've never, like, you know, I wouldn't necessarily combine them. Some people do. I never felt safe enough to do that. When I did have the girls still for a few months, I knew we were about to lose them. One had cancer, one was, they were old. I had them for a while with Gibson, and I kept a muzzle on Gibson for quite a while before I was sure he was good with them. But even that, I wouldn't want him like loose running around in the backyard, because just running around, a big dog will crush the little one. So you've got to really watch that with some of these little ones too. And I see people do that all the time, like, oh, look at my Italian Greyhound running loose with my Greyhound. And I'm like, well, enjoy that $4,000 bill to fix the broken leg of the Italian Greyhound, because that's coming soon. They will crash eventually. So anyway, I know that's not what you're looking for, but maybe a middle size, like if you like a Sighthound, but he likes that size, maybe like a Whippet or a, they have less issues with the potty training and such. A Whippet might be a good choice for you, or a Silken Windhound. Oh God, I love them. They're gorgeous. One of my favorites. It's like a mini Borzoi almost. Well, it actually has Borzoi in them to make them, but it's like think of a slightly longer haired Whippet. That's kind of your Silken Windhound. So that may be an option, but I don't know. I mean, if they really want pits. Now, the other thing you could do is just, if you know, find a show breeder ideally, or a rescue, and have him meet the Italian Greyhounds in person. That may be the thing that changes his mind. How do I maintain an Italian Greyhound? Like any other dog. I mean, it's just that you don't, like I was saying before, you're not going to let them off the leash. Some people do, and they're making a major risk. And I've known so many Italian Greyhounds hit by car that died from being hit by car because they get out. Like, someone will not be careful enough when they open the front door and that dog bolts, and when it starts chasing something, it either panics and it bolts because it's freaking out, or when it starts chasing it, the Sighthound, that instinct kicks in, and they're just so focused on what they're chasing, even if that takes them right in front of a car. So yeah, those are, but other than that, I mean, it's a normal dog, kinda. It's kind of more like a cat. I don't know. Moody Roan said, had a Droid Turbo. It was a good phone. It lasted 6 years before battery gave out. Wow. Ian said, love this chit chat and colored artwork too. It's like you can chat about anything. That is not untrue. I never shut up. Natalie said, Salukis. Oh God, I love Salukis. That may be well, after the Greyhounds. We'll see if that ends up being one of my future breeds. Salukis with the majestic fluffy bits. Oh, I might just have to try and do a painting of one justice. You should. Oh, I love Salukis. God, they're gorgeous. I'm just a big fan of Sighthounds in general. Like, that's my thing, I guess. Although I'm thinking after the boys, so I'm not sure what's going to happen now that they're stopping with all of the Greyhound racing. people didn't realize, yeah, you're not going to be able to adopt them anymore. You can't find them anymore if people aren't breeding them. So I don't know if you're going to start getting kind of greyhound backyard breeder type situations. I don't know what's going to happen with the breed, but it's not going to be so easy to just go to a rescue, pay $250 or whatever I paid for these two, and get a great dog. So I probably won't, like, when their time comes, I probably won't stick with greyhounds. I'm thinking a Ridgeback, still technically a sighthound, but also can kind of be a guard dog, kind of more than that. Saluki's another one that I really like. My husband's not as big of a fan with the Salukis as I am. He doesn't like the fluff, the pretty fluff like I do. He wants a corgi, like, so bad. So that may end up being in our future too. But that's like two dogs. I do not want more than 2 dogs. I have enough pets. Can't afford to feed more than 2. Nick said, Flexi leads, Prismacolor or Vimeo. All hated things of mine. Believe it or not, Prismacolor's the lowest on the list, like, as far as my hate level. I would say Vimeo. No, Flexi leads, Vimeo. Oh, those ones might be tied. Vimeo and then Prismacolor. And it's funny, Nellie says husbands are weird. Mine doesn't like the fluffy either. Poodles. So I like standard poodles. They are one of the most amazing I've never owned one myself, but I know a lot of people who have them. Party colored standard poodle, like one of my dream dogs. It's not even a sighthound. They are good watchdogs. They're discerning. So unlike like a German Shepherd, someone enters, like, comes into the house, they may or may not bite. Like, they're just aggressive all around to strangers initially. Not all of them, obviously. A standard poodle's a little bit different in that they're more discerning. Is this someone I can trust or shouldn't be trusted? Like, see, I love so much about the personality of a standard poodle. My husband does not like the fluff. And I'm like, I don't know. I think it's cute. In certain ways that you can cut them, because you can cut that fur and you can do the puppy cut. You can do all kinds of different cuts that are just, I love them. And I want bows in the ears. But everyone thinks of standard poodles as being these foo-foo dogs. I'm like, you want a good watchdog, go with a standard poodle. Anne said, I started walking my neighbor's dog, Ruby. She's a Labrador. She makes me laugh when running up to me. Call her Rolly for short. Aw. Labs are cute. Yeah, the only thing with the standard poodle for me is the cost of grooming. Like, I'm not used to, like, I don't know that I'm at the financial level I could afford to have a poodle groomed, and with my arthritis, I sure couldn't do it myself. So that may be reason enough not to. Okay, let's see. We're starting to get into some of these darker little circly nubs. Actually, I want to switch to something with a bit more wax. Let's see. Ooh, you look good. Giant Girl said, what do you think about Huskies? I love them. I couldn't deal with that coat. Oh my gosh, the shedding. Plus, I know a lot of people have Huskies in Texas and they do fine, but I don't think it's the right environment for a Husky. That coat, they're meant for the snow. Like, this is not the best Husky environment. And Huskies have a lot of energy, and a lot of people get them, and then they're like, oh, he's eating all my house. What did you think? You got a dog that's bred to pull a sled all day in the snow, and you're trying to keep it in Texas indoors. It can't run because it's too hot. You can't get it enough exercise in the summer here, and you can't, like, I don't think in my situation, like, it's not for, I like them, but there was somebody in my neighborhood group that was trying to get rid of theirs, a younger one recently. And every time somebody does that, I'm like, oh, no, I'm not getting 3 dogs, but she's so pretty. Ball said, are there chocolates for dogs? Fake, like Gibson, one of his treats. It's actually made of carob and I don't know. They make it with some, I forget what they make it out of, but it's like, it's not chocolate. It's something else that's chocolate covered, so people feel like, look, you're getting chocolate. There's no chocolate in it. Sarah McStar, hi Sarah, said, I seriously wonder if psychopaths and generally evil people give off an odor that people can't detect, but dogs can, and that's how they know. So dogs can sense a nervousness in people, and they've done tests on this, and this is very interesting. If somebody has their heart rate up, like their adrenaline is going because they know they're about to do something that's risky, like break into a home, the dog can tell, like those are the things. So they've done studies on this, and there are things that happen chemically, I guess, and with heart rate and all of that, that the dogs are able to pick up on when something is about to go downhill. So yes, absolutely, they can sense stuff like that. Now, on the flip side, when you get into dealing with psychopaths or sociopaths, they don't always have their heart rate go up. They don't always have the physical reaction that a normal person would have, because they don't get that. They don't always get the adrenaline rush, because in their brain, they're not doing anything wrong. It's all fine. Like it varies. I guess that should be. It's not all sociopaths or psychopaths wouldn't be noticeable by dogs, but it certainly varies in their reaction. Like it's very, if you've not studied it interests me, because I met somebody a few years back that ended up being a sociopath. And people think sociopath means murderer, somebody committing all of these crimes. No, usually it's somebody who's more likely to steal from you or steal from their work. Like they don't have that moral compass that everyone does. They think that everything, like, it's very odd the way their brain works. So it's not always a violent thing. But I started looking into that a lot back when I met that person, and it's actually kind of fascinating the differences between a sociopath and a psychopath and the way that their brains work, and how most of them are not murderers or killing things or anything like that. But look into that if you've not. It's very interesting. So anyway, the point is, some may give off a reaction with their heart rate going if they're remotely nervous, but a lot of them it would not. And so that might throw off. I don't know how a dog would pick up on those things. So anyway, it's just kind of an interesting thing. Gypsy Heart said, Hubs was at a regular customer's house working. Their poodle bit his hand and went nuts. Been around the dog for 6 years every week, and had been to a new customer house where he pet a cat. Oh, wow. Yeah, you can always have a one-off where the dog is not so discerning and there's other issues. So, I'm only speaking generally. I mean, it's kind of like any breed. You can have... My in-laws, they had a little Chihuahua mix, and she should have peed all over their carpet. That dog didn't. That dog did not have accidents in the house. She just didn't. So, and we checked. That dog didn't. But, so you will have one-offs that aren't fitting the norm of the breed standard. But, yeah. Gypsy Heart said, and has had an issue with the dog's scent. Something about that strange smell set her off bad. Wow. She's the type of poodle that's very, very large, not the smaller breed. Yeah, the standards are the ones I like. But like I said, you can have a one-off that isn't quite the norm or what you're expecting. You can have that in any animal. I mean, even fish. You can have... What is just popping up? Weird. You can have a fish that you're like, oh, this fish will get along great with this fish. This will be totally safe. And you put them together, and that fish just ate the other fish. That wasn't supposed to happen. Like, you can have weird... maybe not that exact. But any animal cannot fit the standard, but... So I'm kind of speaking generally. Sarah said, I've heard the emotion sociopaths will try to elicit the most in others is not fear, but pity. They'll try to make you feel sorry for them. Yeah, the sociopath I knew, that was his thing. It was fascinating, because I can tell when someone's lying. So I grew up with, this is totally off topic. Well, everything I talk about is. I grew up with, my bio dad was a schizophrenic and very abusive, messed up. But he lied nonstop. He lied to the point where you would start to believe the lie. Like, you could be there. You could have seen what happened. But the way he was so committed to the lie, you're like, wait, am I wrong here? No, wait, that didn't happen. I have another family member who's the same way. And you grow up that way, learning to decipher little tells. Like, you don't even realize you're doing it. You start picking up on little tells, little inconsistencies to tell when somebody is lying. I couldn't tell on the sociopath. I can tell on most people. I could not tell on that sociopath because he didn't give off the tells. Because he believes his lie. Like, that was the crazy thing. I mean, to an extent, so did my dad. But it was the weirdest, I was shocked when I later found out about all the lies and what had happened, and we found out from his mom that he was an actual sociopath. Like, it wasn't, we're just saying that, like, he actually, that's been a problem since he was a teenager. So, yeah, that was bizarre that blew my mind, just because I didn't see it coming. Like, I'm good at telling when somebody is lying. Didn't see it. That to this day weirds me out, because I've always kind of depended on the fact that I know when someone's lying to me. I mean, I'll usually let it roll and let them lie, whatever, but I know that they're lying to me. I had no idea on so much until the end, and you're like, oh, wow. So yeah, and I was friends with that person for maybe, I don't know, 6-7 months, something like that. I don't remember what it was, but before they lost their mind, like, started to cause some issues. But then his thing was, he broke up with, or well, he got... I don't think anyone cared. Well, I'm not telling, no one knows who this is, so it doesn't even matter. As far as you know, this is a fictional person. Got caught cheating on the girlfriend. The girlfriend had proof. He lied. No, you don't. That didn't happen. Deletes the stuff off his phone. He's like, there's nothing there. Nothing happened. She's like, but I saw it. So anyway, he tried making everyone else around him sympathetic to him for her kicking him out. He's the victim in this. She's the evil person. And like, it was really weird, this whole feel sorry for me. And he always had a tendency to do the feel sorry for me, but we definitely saw that in this case where he was, yeah, it was different. That's for sure. Gypsy Heart said, what is strange is the owner was just like, sorry, even though the dog shredded his hand and had to have 16 stitches. Holy crap. Had to take a week off work to heal. Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah, see, and that's the way to go. You said now he always tells the owners to put the dog away no matter what. That's the safest way to go. I'll keep one on a leash. I mean, greyhounds don't bite, but I have one on a leash. One can go on the crate. Like, don't let people let their dog maul people when they come over to visit, and it's like, don't be careful with that. Clark Reinhardt said it wasn't me. Yeah, Nick said, which is odd since a sociopath can't feel pity for others. Crazy. Another thing that's interesting about sociopaths, they're not just born. So a psychopath is born. Sociopath can be born or created by their environment. So that's why you'll see certain areas with like certain types of crime. It's very common because it's like people will grow up in this level. They just think this is normal and how you behave. And you can, like, some are born into their environment, or not born, but created by their environment. It's a very odd, I don't know. Part of me wants to say I'm fascinated and part of me was terrified. But no, there's a girl on YouTube. You can look it up. She's a sociopath. And she's made videos talking about it. She's like, basically, you do not want to be friends with a sociopath. But she's kind of struggled and has to work through things. She has kids and she's been very open and talked about it. I watched a lot of her videos. Really, really eye-opening, really good videos. And she's not a bad person. She's just a sociopath. Like, she can't help it. And she has to work to fake it. But one of the things, like, sociopaths are faking their emotions, so they seem more passionate about things than they really are. Like, because it's all fake and it's all. Fascinating is all I can go into. Like, seriously, look into some videos. If you get bored one day, look up sociopath, like, documentaries and stuff. Not documentaries on a specific one, but just about the mental state. It's interesting. I don't know. I'm interested in mental illness type stuff. So that one was one that really, I watched a lot of stuff. That one fascinated me. Sam said, as long as no one is taking advantage of another, I have no problem. Well, that's the thing. Sociopaths, their whole thing is taking advantage of another. So like this guy, he was living off his girlfriend who was working full time and had to work off hours as like doing Uber Eats and deliveries and anything to make money. He had himself so far in debt. He was buying he'd buy big expensive cars that like he couldn't afford, boats, big things. He'd buy big ticketed items, was so far in debt. So all his money went towards his debt, but even then he wasn't paying out. She was paying his debt half the time. He was living off her. He was not contributing to her rent. It was her condo that that he had moved into. All his money was just blown right away, and then he's mooching off her, like, and it's very common from what I understand with sociopaths. Everything is, any relationship they have with another person is what can I get from that person. So yeah, they really do end up taking advantage. Like, that's their thing, is to take advantage of other people. Their whole life is doing that. Paul said, human brain is very interesting. Oh, absolutely. Or human behavior. Both. Kind of the same. Dee said, I can always tell when someone is lying. Once worked for a real psychopath art gallery. I knew he was and made a quick escape. Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't pick up on it. I just didn't. I think part two, I'd never dealt with a sociopath before. So I didn't know, like, if you can usually tell if someone's like the news, you find inconsistencies. Like, that couldn't have happened because A and B can't create F. Like, those things don't go, no. So usually if you're looking out for it, you can see where there are inconsistencies where you're like, no. This one, I just didn't catch it. I didn't know enough about them, I think, to realize some of those lies being told. There were a couple of things looking back, I'm like, okay, that didn't make sense, but I didn't know enough about the subject to really know for sure. So yeah, Sarah said, I think a lot of sociopaths feel nervous when they're about to commit a crime because they either don't think that they're doing anything wrong or they think they won't get caught. Well, that's the thing. Sociopaths have a tendency, they're bad at their crimes and they do tend to get caught more, from what I read, than a psychopath. Psychopaths tend to actually be good at committing their crimes and keeping it under wraps. Like, they're smarter about it, from what I've read and watched documentaries and whatever on. Whereas sociopaths tend to be bad criminals. Like, they get caught. They are too confident in that they wouldn't be caught, and that if they tell a lie, obviously you believe it because they told it to you. And psychopaths are better at it. Let's see. Paul said, yes, there's actually a channel here on YouTube that looks so vintage but documents clinical therapy procedures. It's very interesting. Oh, that sounds... Some of the testing they used to do on for mental issues for people are terrifying to me. Like, nightmare terrifying, the stuff we used to do. Velma said, we had a tank with guppies and algae cleaner fish and a red swordtail. If the algae eater thought the swordtail was getting out of line, he would attach himself to it. Oh my gosh. Sheena said, can you draw me? What other sayings do artists can't stand hearing? Oh my gosh, that's actually a good subject to bring up. What are... One of mine is, how long did that take you? Because usually if it's a buyer, like if it's another artist, they're just wondering how long, like it makes sense another artist would ask. But a buyer asks because they want to figure out what your hourly rate was. And then go, you only spent 5 hours on that and you want $600? Like, that's like, you're making over $100 an hour. So that one always drives me crazy. I'm trying to think, what are some of the other ones? That's an interesting subject. It's a good one. I don't know. You guys have any art things that artists are asked? What else? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. The big one for me is always the time and figuring out how much it is, or that costs too much or whatever, like the attitude. I've had a few people where they'll ask your prices, and once I put all of my prices for like custom stuff on my website, I don't really do much custom stuff anymore, but when I did, it really took that out of the equation because that was an ongoing problem. But people would ask what your price is, you give them a quote. Well, that's too much. So you want something that is going to take me 2 weeks or so to finish, but you want to pay $20 is what you're telling me. Like, no. So that was always the big one too, is that costs too much or that I charge too much. And I don't. I actually am on the low side. I really need to raise all my prices. But if you want a painting, buy it now before I raise them. But yeah, it like that one was probably, that one drives me crazy. Sarah said, have you watched anything on gaslighting? My former stepfather, who I now know was a sociopath, did it to me. I have not. I actually don't know much about the term. Sam said, is that where they do something and blame you, or they're doing something but claiming you're the one doing it? Is that, I could be wrong on that. Sam said, I think it's very important to destigmatize different mental conditions and not shove them away in a group, which is more dangerous. Yes and no. I'm seeing some weird stuff now that people are doing where like they don't want you using the term like autism. My nephew is he has Asperger's. I want to know he has that because it lets you know where you need to be a bit more understanding with things with him. And this idea, we got into a stage where we keep changing the definition and the terms of things. And I heard recently that people were mad and they don't want you using that term anymore. You can change the definition, you can change the name all you want, but it doesn't change the reality. I want to understand what's going on. So can we stop changing let's stop with that. But I also agree with you on it's almost like we villainize different or make it sound like something to be afraid of or something different mental illnesses. Like I remember as a kid, somebody telling me that there was some actress from a long time ago and they were like, oh, she had bipolar. She was bipolar. Like dismissed her as she was somehow invalid because she had bipolar disorder. And this would have been like the 80s that I heard this. I remember as a kid, it's something that always stuck with me because I was like, what's bipolar? that's not something to that's not something to judge someone on. That's something to be understanding about. Like, that is the most bizarre looking back now. And I love that we've gotten to a point where we really don't jump all over someone like, oh, they're diseased. And I think that we used to treat people like that, and I'm glad we don't anymore. But on the flip side, then you have our people like, we're just going to keep changing the terms and saying, no, don't use that. That's offensive. We don't like the term Asperger's anymore. But it's what lets me know what to expect and how to best accommodate somebody else. I don't want to accidentally say something that's going to set somebody off. I want to know what the situation is. And so it's like, it's kind of, can we go in the middle? Like, you've got these extremes, and I'm glad we're not at the extreme anymore where you hear someone is suffering from bipolar or schizophrenia or whatever, and you're like, oh, I need to stay away from that. I'm glad we don't do that now. But we also it's interesting where we're not allowed to use definitions because it doesn't change the fact. You can call it whatever you want. He still suffers from the same thing. And I say suffer, he actually is doing very well, but he still has the same situation that we need to be aware of. So we know about, and it's like, why then? I don't know. I can argue something on both sides back and forth like you wouldn't believe. Let's see. Sam said, I had an oogie feeling about him right from the beginning. See, I wonder if it's because you guys were only seeing the text, and so you weren't seeing facial expressions that hid the lie. I'm reading usually the facial expressions. So you guys were seeing where okay, this behavior is just weird, where I'm like, I know this person in person, and I know his sense of humor. I kind of understood his sense of humor. I kind of got that, and I was okay with it. So I wonder if that was more why, because you guys were just seeing in black and white the actual facts and the actual things being said, whereas I'm over here going, but his facial, he's not giving me any tells of. I wonder if that was the difference. I wonder if I would have caught it if I only saw the black and white, like the text. I wonder. I don't know. Or maybe I was just dumb. I don't know. Very well could be the case. Gypsy Heart, that's a good one. You have such a natural talent. She goes, no, I have work ethic and practice. Oh my gosh, that is one of the best. No, oh yes, that is so true. How people assume that our skill is, we were just blessed and born with it. No, we worked for it. We 100% worked for anything we achieved with art. You can say I was born with a drive and an interest in art, but I had to do the work to do what I do, although this is not super impressive yet. We'll get there. That's a good one, though. Tara said, sure, anyone can do that, too. Yeah, that story's funny. So I had a friend, Lisa. She was actually taking my... Ooh, that's too yellow. Yeah, take it away. That's not okay. I need more orange. My friend Lisa, her husband, she was taking my classes, and she'd come home, and her husband was like, that looks easy. That's all you did. And so she sat and went down one night. She's like, we're going to paint. And she showed me what he painted. Obviously, when you're first starting out, it's never going to be good. He never talked crap to her again after that. Once he tried it for himself. Natalie said, Marilyn Monroe, maybe? No, it was... Crap. It was a girl. She was a teenage actress at the time. I remember that. Or maybe not at the time, but in the 50s, 60s. I don't remember when. It was one of those shows where it was twin sisters type thing. And the main actress who played her, I think, was the one that they said that someone was like, oh, she was that was she was a bad person because of it. And it was like, what? Why would that? Now looking back, I'm like, what a weird way for somebody to, and everyone looked at it like that back then when you had different mental illness. So I'm very glad we've moved past that, because that's not okay. Let's see. Sarah said, gaslighting is when somebody calmly tells somebody that their own memory is wrong. Oh, to get them to question their sanity. Sam Vaknin did a very informative video about it here on YouTube. I'll have to look into that. I'm actually interested. Shayna said, you're creative. Can you do this for me? Or what's your real job? Oh yeah, I get that one a lot too. And I love that too. How everyone thinks you want to do free paintings for them. This is my job. I can't just give you free stuff. What? I get that a lot where people just assume I'm just going to do everything for free because it's fun. Sam said, let's see, religion certainly played a role into portraying humans as black and white when people are just people and different conditions. I agree. A standardized terminology is really important. I don't even know if I'm sure religion had something to do with it, but I don't even know if it's that, because I know plenty of people today who follow no religion and they still want everything to be that black and white. So I don't know if it was that so much as that's just normal a people thing. Like people just behave that way, whether religion was involved or not. So I'm not sure if I would even blame that or not. Patty Duke, yes. Yes. And I remember watching her act. I'm like, I loved her. I mean, I was a kid, but I was like, I loved her. And having somebody act like that was a negative, I was like, huh, that was weird. I never really understood it at the time. And now as an adult, I look back and I'm like, that's wrong. That's not, like, she couldn't help that. I don't know her whole history. Actually, I should go watch some documentaries on her now. I love documentaries, but I should go watch some while I'm drawing one of these nights. Now that I brought that up, I'm like, I'd actually like to, coming at it from kind of a different perspective, an adult perspective. I'd like to know more about her. Okay. So I can come through, start getting some shadows in between these ridges. Now this, using the polychrome, as it flows in here really smooth, but I have to be careful because that can smudge out a bit. But if it smudges, it's not going to stick too much to the wax-based pencil I put on there, so that helps. This is a little too dark, so we'll get some magenta on it. Clark Reiner said, so now I'm watching from the side of the road, decided to take a break, decided it wanted to stick out and heat up. Oh no, trips are fun. Ah. Why is it? Cars well, I guess because the heat, that is why, but it's like, it's always in the heat. Like you get a flat tire, it's always, for us, it's always in the summer. No, Paul, I do not cook. I did make a tuna sandwich last night. Is that cooking? I mean, I put the bread in the oven for a bit. I didn't cook the bread. It was just that it was frozen. So that's cooking. I'm counting it. I need more of a lighter purple. Do I have one in my light? Oh, I do. Yes, please. Yeah, I am not I don't care enough about food, although I have to say I've been living off these rice bowls for the last, when I started the weight loss thing, the low calorie thing, I started that last June, and I just live off these rice bowls. I'm done with them. I'm so sick of them. I don't even want to finish eating them. I guess I can help with the whole, counting calories because I don't want to eat. But I think it took a year, but I'm finally like, okay, I have to find something else. I'm so sick of these rice bowls. Well, a year was a pretty good run. See, I've been making more sandwiches. So yeah, I'm counting that as cooking. I put something in the oven. We do not get into politics here. This color stands out really well. Was this heather? I believe it's heather. No, wild lavender. Oh, I thought this was heather. Sam said, did you know Elon Musk is autistic? The whole autism thing about having them means they can't study in the academics is false. Yeah, no. And actually when he came out and announced that, that's when I started seeing people criticize him for saying that he had, I think he says he had Asperger's too. And I was like, what a weird thing to be, that's weird to be upset about this guy for. Thought that was a pretty cool thing to announce. I mean, I would imagine it would make like my nephew be like, oh, that's cool. Here's somebody I can look up to that has the same, is like me in this. So I don't know. But yes, I did know that. And I thought that was cool that he shared it. And, with autism, you've got that whole spectrum, but you have this whole spectrum. So you can have, it's not like everyone is going to be Elon Musk or everyone is going to be the other side of it. You've got difference of, everyone's going to be different. So it's not, I think I read where some people were mad that he was creating a stereotype of, you know, super smart, super whatever for that. And I'm like, who cares about the stereotype? He's just sharing what he goes through. Like, I think that's cool to do. Have I seen Rain on Netflix? Amazing. I have not. Joseph said, in honor of Chris, I have to ask, sandwiches or lumps? They were real sandwiches. I actually sent her photos. She was proud of me, she said. So my friend Chris, she's one of my best friends, and she has been giving me crap for years. Actually, from that Italian Greyhounds is how we met. But she's been giving me crap for so many years because I did the whole, like, no low carb, no carb, whatever thing for so long. And being gluten-free anyway, the bread wasn't good initially. So they've gotten better. Like, now it's really good. But I called them my sandwich lump. So it was like lettuce, the innards of the sandwich, and more lettuce. And like, it was a sandwich lump, and she insisted it wasn't a real sandwich. So this has been something the two of us have argued about for probably 10, 12 years. So yeah, that's, Joseph is gotta poke at me for that. Paul said, it's considered cooking when it involves stoves or flame. Then I cook a tuna sandwich. Oh, no worry, question existence. We just keep politics completely, or like, we just not on the channel. All of us want to break from that stuff, so we just don't bring it up at all, so no worries. Autistic people were upset with him because he has previously called autism a brain disease. You know, here's the thing. He doesn't necessarily process something the same way that I might. So him wording something, he's looking at things in a very black and white, a very different. I mean, you look at the stuff he invents. His brain is not the same as mine, and he doesn't process it the same. So when he said that, I doubt he was saying it in a like negative way. And people get so caught up over. I feel like people want to dissect your words without considering your intent, and that's a problem. They want to read more into it. God, I don't remember what it was the other day I heard someone do it. I'm like, you're arguing a definition, which has been changed 800 times, by the way. You're arguing a definition instead of the person's intent. Was that person trying to bash somebody else? Was he trying to, did they mean to be hurtful to somebody? And I think that matters. And we've gotten to a point where no one cares about intent anymore. People only care about the terms used. Now, I don't know that situation. I don't know that much about Elon Musk. So, I don't want to pretend that I know exactly what was said and what was intended. But I'm going to lean towards defending him just because I see this all the time now where people, God, our neighborhood groups, someone will write something. What do you mean by this? You are clearly trying to start a fight and interpret what they said. That isn't what they intended. Like, obviously they're ignoring context. And they're taking a word that could be taken in a maybe negative. Like, it is weird what people do. It's like they're fishing. They're looking so hard to be mad at somebody and to misinterpret what was said. And I have to wonder in that case, and like I said, I don't know his specific thing. I've not watched it. I don't know what he said. I don't know what he meant. But I feel like so often people are looking to be offended instead of looking at the intent. And I think the intent matters more. I mean, obviously there's certain things that no one should ever say. But so often people say things and I'm like, how did you twist that into being a negative? I don't get how that went to, like, clearly it's not what the person said. It's not what they intended, and you twist it into something else. And then I'm like, you're actually the perpetrator, the aggressor in this situation, not them. They're the victim of your crap at that point. Not you specifically. But like when I see some of these people in my neighborhood where they think they're protecting somebody else because they're getting offended for somebody else. And it's like, but that's not what they said. You're taking that so far out of context. Ugh, drives me crazy. Anyway, just be nice to people. That's all I need. Just be nice to everybody. Stop trying to, like, it's almost like they want to fight with each other. People want to be mad at somebody for something, even if what they said wasn't intended as they're trying to perceive it as. I mean, it reminds me a lot of dealing with my dad when he had he's passed, but when he was around, the schizophrenia, where he felt that the world was against him. That's typical of schizophrenia. They suffer from this paranoia that everyone is trying to pull one over on them. Everyone is trying to get them. Everything you said, no matter how, like, I was sick a lot as a kid. I have celiac disease, but we didn't know that back then. So I was sick all the time. I missed so much school. So I he'd call the school and let them know, but for some reason the school also, like my PE teacher, would require a note from my parent. So I would go to him and be like, I need a note, but he was illiterate. Well, he had the reading level of about a third grader. So he was convinced that God didn't want him to be too smart, so he couldn't learn to read. All right, so I would take a note, we'd write it out, and I'd tell him what it said. I need you to sign it so I can give it to my PE teacher. He was insisting, he didn't believe me. I'm like, wait, you knew I was sick. I don't know why this is a thing. But his brain was always looking to have, that somebody was trying to screw him over. Someone was trying to pull something over on him. And it was very weird. I finally learned to just forge his name. I was good at being an artist. I got good at that. But that was the only way that, because it would turn into a fight because it was violent. You didn't want to start a fight with this man. So but he was always looking to be offended, even when nothing was done. And I feel like we've gotten to a point in our culture where that's how everyone is treating everyone else. Everyone is looking to be offended by something somebody said. And it's like, can you maybe take the context into consideration and not overly like, well, this word in the Latin means this, and therefore I think you intended to do me harm. What? Wait, what? Can we have padded rooms again? I need you in a padded room because you need to be away from people right now. Calm down. But yeah, anyway. Let's see. Gypsy Heart said, my oldest son is autistic and it grinds my gears when I see people use it as a derogatory term for calling someone stupid. Autistics are generally quite the opposite of stupid. Oh, see, now I'm with you on that. No one should be using any of, like, and that's where it comes to, I think, intent mattering. Like, I'm going to go to bat. That's not how that word goes. I'm going to be on your side. We'll say that. Go to bat for someone. Is that what it is? But I'm right there with you on that. My complaint is when somebody is not using it in a negative, like their intent was not negative, or using it in a negative way. So it goes back to that. But no, I'm right there with you. I don't want anyone calling people names or using something in a negative thing that way. Sam said, yes, I'm just pointing out autism comes with a horrible stereotype and groups of all autistic types as one when it's not the case. Yes. Velma said, Jessica, I don't know how to say that name, Kelgren Fozzard has a video about labeling people. She explains that it's not all bad. The label she uses for herself help her know who she is and help others understand. And again, I'm just going back to context. Are you saying something to try to put somebody down, or are you explaining the situation explaining, Dawood, I just butchered your name and I apologize. Said, your details and realism are awesome. Oh, thank you. Your live streams prove you have a heart and a giver. Thank you. Gypsy Heart said, because people listen and respond instead of hear. That's a good point. Sam said, I think he was trying to be humble. Sarah said, Nathan Silov, an autistic YouTuber, is fond of saying, you met one autistic. That's a good way I like it. I like that a lot. Hubby Artist said, gotta run. Have a good day, everyone. Bye. Have a good day. We're almost done here anyway. Actually, yeah, this is a good place to stop. We're just going to continue on with detail. At least we've got the underside done of this. We can just keep working on detail so it'll just get better and better now. We're working out of the ugly stage on this guy now. Paul said, does your neighbor have little gathering or feast? Neighborhood have a little gathering or feast? Nothing really. The only thing I really see of my neighbors, well, my direct neighbors, like we all say hi. Everyone's super friendly that lives like directly around me. These neighbors, them I know, like we hang out sometimes. He's the one I pay to do my yard work, and I watch their dogs sometimes. Like those guys I know, but everyone else is they're friends. Everyone else I would say is more of an acquaintance, but no one. Sometimes they all get together at the pool, which is nasty. That pool is just, I don't know why people. I don't get public pools. I'm a little bit. I wouldn't say I'm a germaphobe. I'm a pee in the poolophobe. That thing's just, I don't know how people get into public pools. Anyway, no, we don't really do a whole lot. They'll occasionally do like a single block party, but I'm not social enough to want to go hang out with anybody besides like the neighbor that I know. Let's see. Oh, that just jumped. I think we're about done here. Dee said, my grandson has a red-boned coonhound. Oh, they're gorgeous. Got with my Pit Zoo. Oh, see, I won't use the fancy terms. It was a pit bull Shih Tzu mix. Not a good scene. Coonhound pinned and bit the pit Shih Tzu. Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's just an issue. And it's a dog thing. Like, I don't do dog parks because dogs fight. It's like their thing. People who take their dogs to dog parks usually don't do enough training that they have enough control of that dog. Like, you see, like, when I used to work at the animal hospital, and when I worked at the animal hospital, it was long enough ago, dog parks were just kind of starting. Like, they weren't that common. Oh my God, the fights even then you'd see. Most of the injuries for dogs were from dog parks. Like, I would use a dog park if, like, my old apartment, no one used it in the middle of the day, so I could take my girls over, when I had my Italian Greyhounds, I would take them over and let them, all they did is sniff and pee, but I would take them over there during the day, but as soon as somebody came, we left. Like, I'm not risking my dog for that. Now, the other thing is they are a great breeding ground for different diseases. So, I mean, mine were vaccinated, so I wasn't really worried about that, but it's not worth it. Not worth it at all. Yeah, that red-bone coonhound definitely would have had more power. Taisha said, I actually worked with kids with autism and disabilities, and these kids are the most naturally creative people. That's awesome. I find that most kids in general, like, kids are fun with being creative. Andy said, Mom, I'm an autistic son behind the conversation, so I don't know what's being discussed. Let's see. Okay, I think we are at 3:06, so we're going to wrap this up because my husband will be waking up soon. I've got to get that painting shipped. I think we're good. Make sure to check out Nick and Joseph's channels here on YouTube. They both have art channels here. Joseph has been live streaming every Monday, so it's a lot of the same of us, same people, same group here. They hang out and chat, go and chat in his live stream. We need to get him talking more. He's not a rambler like I am. Probably convenient in real life, but let's draw out chats from him on Monday. But definitely check his painting out. Really cool, those live streams there. Tell them thank you because they help keep spam out of the chat. And is that it? So this one we will be back to and really focusing on detail now that we've got the base layers done next Friday at 1 p.m. Central Time. Wednesday, we're going to be still painting coral digitally, and I need to get another video edited, like just a normal time-lapse video edited, so that will be coming soon. Anyway, I think that is it. Thank you guys for joining, and I'll see you guys in a few days. MeWe. Follow me on MeWe. Oh, it's not even on. Why don't I have my MeWe thing on here? I have merch. Where's the rest? I didn't fix my window. That should have MeWe on there. MeWe, links there in the description. That is so it's like Facebook when Facebook was good. Back before Facebook only showed 3% of your posts to your followers. What's the point? MeWe is that. MeWe's awesome. You can follow me. Links are in the video description. I post photos of my frogs, my dogs, all the things all week long. And then, of course, I've got the art page. So anyway, that is it. Yeah, that's it. Bye, guys. I lost the video. Now, bye.